Hello viewers, this is Paladin of Odin, and this is some more Magic the Gathering Online. This is another episode of the Standard Commentary Series, and it looks like we have some kind of Jund, maybe, versus Colorless Eldrazi. Thought Not Seer from Colorless gets rid of a Thunderbreak Regent, which is a very good card to get rid of, and surprised to see Colorless Eldrazi. It was gaining popularity for a little while before SOI, but then afterwards it just kind of disappeared. And I have been seeing it make a small comeback lately in the tournament practice lobby. You know, I've seen one like 3 times tonight, and I've been working on videos for, 5 or 6 hours. So, 3 and 6 hours, one every 2 hours. Reality Smasher. So he's attacking in with a 4/4 and a 5/5 trample. Thunderbreak blocks the Thought Not Seer, so he's going to take 5. But he is going to get to draw a card thanks to Thought Not Seer dying. And he really did have to trade there because he couldn't really afford to go to 8. Not when potentially next turn Colorless could throw out another Reality Smasher. But right now, Jund really needs to have an answer for Reality Smasher. Roast would be perfectly acceptable. Ultimate Price wouldn't work because it's colorless. Uh, Ruinous Path would work. Down a Morph. And I'd have to guess that that's probably a Den Protector given the mana that's left open. Though it's really not going to be that helpful against the Reality Smasher. Walker of the Wastes. That's a card that I was toying with when these cards first came out, was the idea of, you know what, if you made a colorless Eldrazi deck, or me, I went black Eldrazi. Even when you're not running all wastes, if you have 1 or 2 wastes, this card is ridiculous for its cost. Smasher attacks in, but, in colorless, that's 4 wastes right there, makes it an 8/8 trample for 5 mana. Morph blocks Reality Smasher, and it was a Den Protector, and he didn't flip it in response. That's why he had Draconic Roar in his hand. He just needed the damage from the Den Protector to be on the creature so that he could kill it off. He is going to have to discard here because of Reality Smasher's ability. He gets rid of Painful Truths, which right now would be pretty dangerous to play, even verging on Reckless. So, not a bad pitch, but now he has to deal with an 8/8 trample. The good news is that it doesn't have that clause that Reality Smasher does about discarding a card, but, I'll finish my thought. The bad news is that it has 8 toughness. But he concedes. He would have had to have some very specific kill cards to be able to kill something this big. Burn really wasn't going to be a viable option unless he had him in his hand at the time. And Draconic Roar combined with a Roast would do the job, but he'd have to have 2 cards. Ruinous Path. And I'm drawing a blank for anything else, but you guys get what I'm talking about. He'd have had to have an answer, and it doesn't look like he did. So that's 1 game for the Colorless Eldrazi deck. Another thing that I've been seeing lately is Jund. The combination of green, black, and red lately has been gaining in popularity, though it hasn't seen any placement on the top 8 boards yet. Mainly because the board is really crowded out by the big guys, like Bant Aggro, White Weenie, and throw in Boros Aggro since they're pretty similar. Um, there's still a slot for Mono Green Ramp, the control decks. Ooh, Eldrazi Mimic from Colorless gets Draconic Roared. Now this little guy is kind of a hit or miss card. You know, if he was a 1-drop, he would be a hit all the time. Traverse the Ulvenwald to get a swamp. That gets him his 3 colors. Transgress the Mind, 6 cards in hand for Eldrazi. But like I was saying about the Mimic, you know, at 2 mana, he's pretty hit or miss. You know, when he works, like when you drop a Reality Smasher, it is insane because it's just like, oh, I have a 5/5 trample haste, and now I have another 5/5 that can attack. But most of the time, he's just a 2/1 that pretty much does nothing. The Transgress the Mind got rid of the Matter Reshaper, which I'm sure he would have much rather been able to play this turn than just Hedron Crawler. But it leaves him with Spatial Contortion, Rogue's Well, he played Hedron Crawler and Rogue's Passage, so he has Hedron Archive and Walker of the Wastes. Another Transgress the Mind. Gets rid of the Walker. Leaves him with Shrine of the Forsaken Gods, Spatial Contortion, Hedron Archive. So, Jund is doing a pretty good job here controlling the situation. You know, being able to knock out these cards before he can play them is a really good way of taking this deck out of the game. The only problem is that that's all he's doing. You know, when he's doing this, that's all he's able to do is, you know, take out a card, kill a creature. You know, he's not advancing his board state at all. Thought-Knot Seer. 4 cards in hand for Jund. So, the board is looking pretty good for Eldrazi. He just needs to keep drawing gas. And he has ways of drawing more cards. He can sacrifice the Hedron Archive, though it is making up a pretty good portion of his mana pool right now. Gets rid of a Pulse of Murasa, leaves him with Dragonlord Atarka, Dragonlord Kolagon times 2. So, at the moment, Jund is mana screwed. He just got his 5th mana, but he still needs 1 more for Dragonlord Kolagon, and then 2 more for Atarka. So he's stuck just having to take damage. So Thought-Knot Seer gets in for 4. So knowing what he knows about Jund's hand, Eldrazi needs to try and take advantage of it the best that he can. Which, you know, he might not be able to. You know, his hand is pretty limited, and his ability to get access to more cards is also pretty limited. So 6th land gets him his Dragonlord Kolagon. In response, Eldrazi is sacrificing the Hedron Archive to draw 2 cards. Now, Dragonlord Kolagon is a very powerful card. 6 mana, 6/5 flying haste. Lets him get in for 6 straight away. And then, you know, his ability is actually really, well, the giving creatures you control haste is really powerful. The rest of the text, if you had knocked that off, he would still be a good card. But add on to that, whenever an opponent casts a creature or planeswalker with the same name as a card in his or her graveyard, they lose 10 life. It may not happen very often, but that is a very powerful ability. Okay, Thought-Knot Seer gets in for 4 more, so Jund is down to 12, Eldrazi is at 11. Eldrazi follows it up with Hedron Archive. The problem is that he is going to have to use 2 cards to kill Dragonlord Kolaghan. And we're also going to see Dragonlord Atarka here, which will wipe the board. And if he doesn't kill Dragonlord Kolaghan, oh, Goblin Dark Dwellers, never mind. Goes for Transgress the Mind. Eldrazi does have 4 cards in hand, but that's also 10 damage on the board. Thanks to the haste, Goblin Dark Dwellers is an extra 4 damage that Eldrazi can't stop. Now, in situations like this, it kind of brings to light why Colorless Eldrazi really isn't that great. Ooh, gets rid of Titan's Presence. Leaves him with a Crawler and a Spatial Contortion. It's not. There it is. Yeah, Titan's Presence is kind of the only card that he has access to. You know, being a mono colorless deck is that really limits you because there have been so few sets with mono colorless card. Well, you know what I mean. Since colorless became its own color, um, you know, rolling in black or white or red or any one other color gives you so many more options. In a situation like this, he needed kill cards. He had one, and one would not have been good enough. But if he had been running Black Eldrazi, he probably would have had answers along the way so that he could have killed Dragonlord Kolaghan or killed Goblin Dark Dwellers, but he didn't. And it cost him the game. But that was 2 games, 1-1, and the match has gone on for almost 13 minutes, so I'm going to end the video there. That was Jund versus Colorless Eldrazi. And if you liked what you saw, hit that like and subscribe button for me, and I'll see you in the next video.